My name is Jeenah. I'm the executive director of a think tank in Johannesburg, South Africa, called Afro-Middle East Center. What Turkey has done over the past 1.5 decades, from a situation of kind of military dictatorship to quite a vibrant democracy at the moment, and economic progress, etc., I think that there's lessons to be learned. Yeah, I mean, there's the Arab League, there's the Organization of Islamic Conference, etc., etc. They're all useless. And they will remain useless until the region has, until the countries of the region and the Muslim world in general have democratic governments, democratic states, and states in which people are able to participate, the citizenry is able to participate. When that happens, then I think that these multinational organizations will also be more effective and be able to play a greater role in terms of that kind of thing. I mean, I live in South Africa, and for a long time we've had the Organization of African Unity, which had some of the similar problems as some of these organizations we're talking about. So we had dictatorships, we had coups, etc., and the organization itself couldn't do much about it and wasn't effective at that level. But now the situation has changed. Africa in general, most of the countries, not all, certainly not Egypt, but most of the countries are democracies in Africa. There's a strong desire to protect and deepen democracies in these various countries. And so the African Union is now much more effective at that kind of level than the OAU was in the past. I'm not saying it's great. I think that it can be much more effective. But at least, for example, in the case of Egypt, within about 2 days after the coup, Egypt was suspended from the organization because of it. So once countries of the Middle East region begin to democratize, or the Muslim world, as you're saying, democratize, have citizen participation, then I think these multinational organizations will become more effective. No, I think that in some parts of the world, Islamophobia is against Islam, not just extremist interpretations of Islam, but against Islam itself. So you have, Quran burnings or banning of women wearing scarves, or whatever the case might be. I think there's a few things that need to be done. One is that particularly in non-majority Muslim countries, whether we're talking about Europe or North America, South America, Australia, in my country, for example, that firstly, of course, Muslim communities need to be much more introspective and see whether some of the roots of Islamophobia are actually within our community and our practices. And certainly, I think there's enough of that. The way in which we treat women, for example, in Muslim communities is a huge problem, and opens the door for that kind of Islam, not just legitimate criticism, but also Islamophobia. The extremism we find in some parts of the Muslim world, violent extremism, etc. So I think that introspection is the one thing. The second thing is that really at the vanguard of the fight against Islamophobia needs to be Muslims in Muslim minority countries, in order to show to the societies in which they live what Islam actually is, in terms of their practice, in terms of their words and deeds, etc., and lobby to change those perceptions of what Islam is. It's a long and hard road because the forces of Islamophobia are very strong, we have lots of media, etc., but it's a road that we have to travel on if we want to combat it.